This is the Vendi Sales Podcast, hosted by Kyle Jager. Real conversations, sharp insights, and practical tools to help you close smarter and build teams that win.
Welcome back to the Vendi Sales Podcast. Today, I am especially excited to have a very special guest on, someone I believe all our watchers and listeners are going to have a ton of fun listening to and benefit greatly from. I got Paul Miners from Miner Co., which is a Pipedrive Platinum partner. Paul has been in the game of Pipedrive for probably longer than anybody. He is the OG, I say, of the YouTube training sector and tutorials on YouTube. And yeah, Paul, super stoked to have you on today. I've had a ton of clients looking for guidance in maybe a more approachable CRM, which I always say is what Pipedrive is. And just welcome to the show, man.
Thank you, Kyle. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Looking forward to chatting about Pipedrive and seeing how we can help your listeners. Yeah.
For sure. Well, I think the best place to start just naturally is who you are and what your company does.
Yeah, so thank you. My name's Paul. My company, Miner Co., we are headquartered here in New Zealand. So I'm in the future talking to you on Friday today at the time of recording. But we are a global remote team. We're 13 people now. And we help customers all over the world to use Pipedrive to the best the best of their ability. We use Pipedrive internally as our sales CRM. I've been using it since 2015, so 10 years this year I've been using Pipedrive. We don't support any other CRM. We only help customers with what we use ourselves internally, which is Pipedrive. And for us, it's an extremely valuable tool for our business that I genuinely can say helps us to close more deals. It's helped us to improve our average deal size, our time to close, our conversion rates. It's helped us to just sell more effectively. And we want to help our clients do the same. And so, we're a platinum partner. We're one of Pipedrive's top partners worldwide now. We've been one of their Partner of the Year winners multiple years in the past. And we want to help as many people as we can to sell more with Pipedrive.
I love that, man. I love that. It's I think it's super important when people use what they preach, right? It's hey, this is what we see find successful with our team. This is what we believe in, and we want to help you get there. So how did you tell us the story of how it became Pipedrive? How did you get introduced? How did you buy into the system?
Yeah, well, I first got introduced to Pipedrive in 2015. I have more of a marketing background. I worked in marketing for a few years at an e-commerce company here in New Zealand. And then 2015, I went to work with a friend of mine in his business. And actually, it was a mortgage broking business. I don't know if you have any mortgage brokers listening, but that's actually one of the common types of customers we actually see using Pipedrive, are those kind of professional service type businesses. And I was helping my friend in his business in marketing, and I got roped into doing sales and became a broker for a year or two there. And we were just exploring what CRM could we use to manage our deals and our opportunities. And I think we looked at Pipedrive, we looked at Copper CRM. I think we also looked at HubSpot at the time as well. And Pipedrive was the one that we decided was the right fit for us. I think for two main reasons. Number one, it was a good price point. It wasn't too expensive. HubSpot seemed quite pricey for what we needed. But I guess the main thing that convinced us was its design and its usability. We gave it a go and we realized this is really nice and easy to use. And I think that's one of the most important parts of a CRM is it has to be one that's easy to use, because a lot of CRMs, Salesforce is a good example, teams don't really find it intuitive or don't like using it. And so they don't update their deals or opportunities. And if they're not updating the opportunities, you can't rely on the data for reporting, and the whole thing breaks down. So the fact that we like Pipedrive because it was just the one that we found, it's going to be easy to use, easy to update, it's intuitive. And that's how we got started. So I worked in that business doing sales with Pipedrive for a couple of years. And while I was at that company, I was trying to get my own consulting business going. At the time, I was working on that as a bit of a side project. And I was actually focusing on Asana. That's one of the other tools that we specialize in. Asana is a really good project management tool. So I was helping businesses get going with Asana, and I thought I could help with Pipedrive as well. I know this tool really well. I'm using it myself every day. I think I can help with this. And so it was end of 2016, I made the leap from working full time to actually working for myself. It was just me back then. I was kind of a freelancer. And so I made that leap at the end of 2016. And here we are today, nearly 10 years later. It's the company's a bit bigger now, but we still ultimately, we do Pipedrive, we do Asana, and we do Zapier as well. We do quite a lot of automation with those tools. But that's how I got going. Yeah.
Amazing. So you said you work with quite a few mortgage brokers. Like that's a pretty ideal client for you. What makes Pipedrive the ideal tool for those type of users? Like what attracts them or makes them most effective with it?
Well, I think Pipedrive is great for any, really for any kind of like B2B sales where you're doing direct sales. You know, if your sales process is one where you're either doing outbound prospecting to find leads, or maybe you have inbound leads coming in from ads or wherever, and you need to qualify them. You know, maybe you have some kind of discovery call to qualify and learn more about them. You're then finding out and identifying their needs. What problems do we need to solve for them? And then you're presenting some kind of solution. Right, here's how I can help you. And then that's maybe sending a proposal, sending a quote, sending a contract, and then closing the deal. If that's kind of like, I mean, obviously that's a very generalized sales process. But if you're doing that kind of direct sales, Pipedrive's going to be a great fit. It's not really a sales tool if you're doing more like B2C. You know, if you're selling fancy like face moisturizer or soaps or something online and you're going more to that B2C market, you wouldn't use Pipedrive. The difference there would be if you are selling a consumer product, but you're trying to sell to distributors or wholesalers, and that's more of a direct sale, then I think you would use Pipedrive. So really, if that's your sales process where you are qualifying prospects, finding a solution and following up, Pipedrive is going to be a great tool for that type of sales process. It's often clients who are coming to Pipedrive, they've been getting by on like a spreadsheet. Maybe they've been tracking their opportunities in Excel, or maybe just even using their email and like a Gmail plugin like Streak. If that's you right now and you find that system's not working for you, Pipedrive is a great next step.
That's a great point, because I think that's where a lot of people kind of go. It's like, hey, we're using a spreadsheet, we're tracking stuff. It actually works okay for me as an individual. It's just like the visibility and some of the things management want from us, we can't really get that. It's a lot of manual update. And once you start growing, that becomes a real headache. What has been the experiences you've seen from people kind of making that transition from Excel to Pipedrive? Because I think that's pretty much where every business starts, right? It's like Excel until we reach a point where the demands tell us we probably got to do something different if we want to keep our sanity.
Yeah. I mean, when you go from something like a spreadsheet to now having a proper tool, you're going from something like Excel, which is not really meant for sales. Excel is just a spreadsheet. It's just a database tool. Now you're actually going into a tool like Pipedrive, which is actually purpose built for salespeople to help you be more effective. So it's going to give you, as you mentioned there, a lot more visibility over where are all the different opportunities in our sales process right now? Just like what's the thickness of our sales pipeline in terms of the number of deals, the value of the deals. And especially if you manage a team, you can then filter your pipeline and see, here's Paul's deals, here's Kyle's deals. I mean, I'm managing my own sales team here at Mineco, and I will review our deals on a weekly basis. And I go through each salesperson on our team and I'll see, right, how do their deals look? Are they keeping up to date? Are they following up? Are there any obstacles or objections we need to address? So you get a lot more visibility. And then there's some really useful features that are going to just help the salesperson in their daily journey. So you can connect your email to Pipedrive. And so when you're sending a follow-up, rather than typing an email from scratch, you could have templates that you've pre-written, ready to go. So I've prepared a bunch of templates for my team, and probably like you, Kyle, I've got some scripts and some language that I quite like using in sales. And so I can write those templates the way I like them. And then my team can just use those when they're following up. All the reporting, I mean, I'm a big data geek. I love, and I shared a big report with our team today, but it's really useful for me to go through and see like, right, for this year, we're coming up to the end of 2025. Like, how have we performed this year? If we look at the deals that we've created, are we maintaining a healthy volume of new deals coming into the top of our sales funnel? You know, that's a good measure of, is our marketing working well? How are we performing from a conversion point of view? Is our conversion rate, are we converting at a good rate? And actually we've seen some improvement in our conversion rate this year. We've also been working on our average deal value. We've been making some changes internally to improve how we package our services. And so we've seen a nice growth in our average deal size. So, and even for the deals that you don't win, why are we losing those deals? Like, what are the common reasons people are telling us they're not going to proceed? And I will tell you the number one reason we lose a deal at Mineco is the client doesn't respond. And this is probably one that you and a lot of your listeners have had, is like, you follow up, we call, and that's just a very common a reason to lose a deal. And it's a tough one. It's like that we just never hear back. So like, how can we handle that better? How can we get more of a commitment? So like, okay, when we finish this conversation, we've sent the proposal, let's get a date on the calendar, which is something we're doing now. Let's get a date on the calendar for them to make a decision. And we actually schedule that. So we're going to hope they come back to us with a decision by that date. And we actually put that on the calendar. So all of that data that we get out of Pipedrive for us is really useful to actually understand what's working, what's not working, how can we improve. And everything I just mentioned there is just stuff you cannot get in a spreadsheet alone. And that's where Pipedrive really provides a lot of value.
I love that. And then I think there's kind of two sides. At least in my experience talking about people moving to Pipedrive, right? There's the people that have started in the Excel world, got to a point where, like you said, the functionality, the data, the resources just don't make sense. They got to find something else. But then there's the other group that are using systems that have all of that. You know, you talk about the other big players, Salesforce and HubSpot and Copper and all the other ones. They all have that functionality in those reports and that data. But yet people still migrate to Pipedrive. And they say, hey, like this is actually a better system for us. What makes them leave that ecosystem and come to Pipedrive? What do you typically see?
Yeah, I mean, we've migrated people from the likes of HubSpot, Salesforce, and other CRMs. And the common things or the common reasons people decide to make that change, often it's a pricing thing. HubSpot, Salesforce are priced; they are more expensive than Pipedrive. You know, and that's actually with Salesforce, for example. I mean, you can develop on top of it. You can make Salesforce to be like quite a powerful like ERP system if you want to. Now, you're going to pay a lot to do that, and if you need that for your business, then Salesforce is a great fit. You know, you can create custom objects using Salesforce. But a lot of users we're migrating, they don't need all of that. They just want something simple. They just want something that's going to help them to keep track of their opportunities and help them to follow up. And so Pipedrive is more affordable. And going back to my other comment before, it really is intuitive. You have to give it a go to know what I'm talking about. But like once you start using it, you do realize like just inputting data is so much quicker and easier. Again, I'm going to pick on Salesforce again, but even customizing Salesforce where you've got fields where you can store information. Like one of the fields we have in our Pipedrive is what we call the deal source. So when I meet someone for the first time, I ask, hey, Kyle, how did you find me? And they'll say, oh, we saw your videos on YouTube. So I will then tag that deal as this one came from YouTube. And then I can later measure how much revenue we generated from a particular source. Now, creating that field in Pipedrive is very easy. Creating it in Salesforce, I think you might even need a developer to do that. And a lot of businesses don't have the budget or don't really want to engage a developer to make a simple change. So again, that's where I think Pipedrive is great. Like it's really intuitive. It's easy to set up and customize on your own, although we can help fast track that learning for you. And again, I think that one of the key things is putting information in is so easy. Keeping it up to date is very easy. And the more up to date the CRM is, the more valuable it is as a tool. Because I follow this philosophy, and this is what we teach our clients. If it's not in Pipedrive, it didn't happen. So whenever I talk to somebody, if I'm on a call or I'm texting them, I will write my notes like this is what I talked about. I'll put those notes into Pipedrive because if you're anything like me, I'll talk to a prospect today and next week when I'm following up, I've forgotten everything we talked about. So I really rely on Pipedrive to capture those notes, and that makes it a more valuable tool to me. But it has to be quick and easy to input that. Otherwise, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to update it. And then the whole CRM starts to break down. So those are I would say the common reasons we see people make that switch to Pipedrive.
Yeah. No, that resonates with me 100%. I came from a background of HubSpot, which we chose over Salesforce because in our ROI calculations, we decided that for Salesforce to be a success at the company I was at, we would have to hire a full-time Salesforce person. So we went to HubSpot, and it was a fantastic tool for that industry. So when I started my own business, I naturally selected HubSpot. But to your point, for me to get enough value out of HubSpot, I had to pay for a higher tier that didn't make sense for my organization. And then I found Pipedrive, and it's like I can, for a great price, I'm running my campaigns, my blogs, and my newsletters out of Pipedrive. I have my full lead list. I have my resources from my website feeding directly into Pipedrive for my inbound leads. I'm managing my pipeline, my contacts. I actually love, it's the best CRM I've used for calling, right? The integration between, hey, call my cell phone from Pipedrive to it going through my phone is great. And a lot of CRMs have that, but I find afterwards, it just says, hey, you can dictate what that call was about, right? And for me, it's like, oh, that's amazing. I don't even have to type it, just talk, and I hit save, and it saves into Pipedrive. So
nice. Yeah.
I'm one of those success stories of migrating from HubSpot to Pipedrive, and what you said just totally resonates with me. What I am curious about is Asana and project management tied into that.
Yes.
If I look at my own business, one of the things I'm having difficulty with is, you start to get a lot of projects and trying to manage them. And Pipedrive does have a project thing that's just not powerful enough for what you need. So super curious to hear more about how you guys kind of take that, integrate it with Pipedrive, and make a meaningful connection there.
Yeah, well, firstly, you're 100% accurate. Pipedrive does have a project add-on. So this is really intended for once you've closed and won your deal, you can set up a project to manage the fulfillment or delivery of whatever product and service you're selling. And actually, I think it's a great feature. And for a lot of people, if you just need like a fairly simple project management tool and you're already using Pipedrive for sales, then use the projects add-on because it actually keeps you inside the CRM. And what's really nice is you can be working in a project and you can quickly bring up the deal. It slides into view. You can go back and look at the emails, the notes that the salesperson had with the client while you carry on working on the deal. So it's a really nice feature. We use Asana. And the reason we use a separate project management tool is, number one, I've been on Asana since 2012, so I was already on Asana. It is a lot more powerful. So if your project management requirements are more complex, if you want to do things like visualize your projects in a timeline or Gantt chart, if you want to manage your team's workload and capacity, if you want to, actually, there's a great goal planning feature. We just made a video for YouTube about planning your goals for 2026 using Asana. So if you want these more powerful project management features, then I think a tool like Asana is a great option. Again, if your requirements are simple, stick with Pipedrive. And so how we integrate that is we've built that integration ourselves using Zapier. You can use, there is a native integration where you can even do this with an automation in Pipedrive. When you win a deal, you could create a project in Asana. We do it with Zapier because with Zapier, we have a bit more control over exactly how that works. We can choose, what project template do we want to use to build the project in Asana? And so, we have a really nice flow now where when we win a deal in Pipedrive, and that's kind of the transition point for us, is when we win a deal, because we've been paid, Pipedrive has now done its job. We've been paid by the customer. Now we actually need to manage the engagement or manage the project over in Asana. And for us, Asana is also where we communicate as a team. So we don't send any emails internally. We don't use Slack or Microsoft Teams. If I'm following up with my team on anything, we do that in Asana. We have a task or a project somewhere in Asana. We have this clear cutoff where Pipedrive ends and then Asana begins. And that's those two tools for us really is how we manage everything that we do from a sales and operational standpoint.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. Being able to, like you said, win that deal, hop into another system, but all that information's carried over. It brings me up, like, information, that's the backbone of a CRM, right? And when I go into most organizations, we were talking before this call, hey, right now, CRMs, they used to be like this hard to convince ownership to get a CRM for the sales team because we have Excel. I think most companies are past that and they have a CRM. But when we walk into most organizations, they're not utilizing it. There's no process. There's no structure. It's a data graveyard. It's just like, information goes there to die and no one actually uses it, and everyone ends up using their notebook or their iPad or their notes section on their phone to Excel to run their own CRM. So how have you seen companies kind of get past it being a data graveyard and into an actual useful tool? Like, what are some of the requirements to actually make that happen?
Yeah, a couple of things I would say is, firstly, and this goes for not just Pipedrive, but Asana and other tools as well, is it's good to identify who internally is going to champion this tool. Who is going to be responsible for its implementation and the rollout and adoption? Because often what we see with businesses is somebody in the company, maybe it's the business owner, maybe it's the head of sales, or somebody even in IT, kind of signs up for Pipedrive, and they invite the users and do a basic setup, like, right, we're going to set up some basic stages and we're just going to invite everyone in. And that's it. They kind of don't do any other formal training. There's no structure around, here are our best practices. Here's how we as a company should use this tool. A lot of people are just, sales teams are just kind of thrown into the deep end and are just expected to sort of figure it out on their own. And salespeople are busy. Salespeople don't want to be figuring out their CRM. Salespeople want to be on the phone. They want to be following up. They want to be chasing their good prospects. So the first thing I would say is make someone responsible for it. And if you actually point to somebody and say, right, Kyle, your job is to make sure we set it up properly. Your job is to learn the tool yourself really well so you can manage it, make changes to the tool. And your job is then to help onboard our team, figure out, how are we going to use it? What are the best practices we should follow? Making somebody accountable really helps. And then you've actually got somebody who's now driving the adoption and usage forward rather than everyone just trying to figure it out on their own. That's a really key, that alone, I think, will fast track your success, because a lot of the clients that come to us, they are people or companies that have had Pipedrive for 6 months, 12 months or longer. And they say, we've got it, but we don't really know what we're doing. Some of us are using it, some of us aren't, and it's not really being used that well. So make somebody responsible for it. One of the ways that we support our clients is we have a training program, and it's called our Done With You service. Let's make you, Kyle, the internal Pipedrive champion. Let's train you how to be the expert so that you internally can drive adoption forwards. Start there. And then, I mean, obviously we help with training, and we like to, when we introduce a new tool, I think it's good to introduce a new tool, in as friendly and least overwhelming way as possible. Even though it's exciting, Pipedrive's got all these features and things it can do to help us. I try and identify, like, as a productivity geek, what's the 80-20 of this tool? What are the 20% of features we need to show people that get them 80% of the value of the CRM? So when we introduce this Pipedrive, we're saying, right, we're just going to show you how to create a deal, how to keep the deal up to date, like putting in your notes, putting in the fields, and then how to schedule an activity to remind you when to follow up, and how to send an email. Like some really basics. Let's just focus on that to begin with. We can come back and we can look at automation and reporting and all those fancy features later. But right now, just while we're getting this new tool off the ground, let's keep it really simple and focus on these daily habits that people need to adopt, because we are talking about behavioral change. People need to adopt new habits to get this new tool off the ground. So in summary, have a champion, somebody that's driving it internally. And then when you introduce it to the team, keep it simple to begin with. Don't overwhelm them with too much, because otherwise it's too much. It's like drinking from a fire hose. People can't take it all on, and then they get overwhelmed and just freeze and don't use it.
No, totally makes sense. I know we just had a client. We ended up driving adoption and usage by 200%, and it was very much the 20-80 rule, right? Focus on the contacts, the deals, the pipeline, and then weekly training, like one-on-one, just a 20-minute, 15-minute call, just like, hey, what are you struggling with? What can we help you with? Whether that's an external or an internal champion, but just a constant reminder. But once we get
another
past,
one is
go ahead.
Oh, it's good. Just add another quick one is keep it open in your browser. So Pipedrive is a web application. There's no app to download. You run it in your browser. For me, I always have Asana and Pipedrive open in my browser, so that throughout the day, I'm constantly referring to Pipedrive. So I might get a phone call, and then from a prospect, I can quickly tab over to the Pipedrive app. I can bring up the deal. I can type my notes, and I'm not fumbling, like trying to open it up while I'm on the phone. Just keep it open, keep it accessible, and then it's just so much quicker to get in and update it.
I love that. That's a simple but highly effective trick. I was going to say, once we get past that kind of 80-20 rule, right? Hey, here's the 20 things, and we start using more of the system. Are there certain plugins, automations, add-ons, tools that you see a ton of value in? That's like, hey, once we're using it efficiently in the basic means that you really like and see a ton of value bringing teams into?
Yeah, definitely. One of the first things we like to show people is the native automation capabilities. And the easiest one to get started with is just simply building an activity automation. So how this could look is when you move a deal from one column or one stage to the next, that moving it to the next stage could trigger an automation that then creates activities for you or for somebody on the team to do whatever the next action is. And for me as a business owner, this has been a great way to actually systemize our process and get the team to follow the process that I have built. What used to be in my head is now built into Pipedrive. So for example, when if we're selling a Pipedrive license, we've sent a quote. We then have a stage called ready to proceed. So Kyle, you tell me, great, I want to proceed with my Pipedrive licenses. What's next? We move the deal into that stage, and the automation creates activities for our general manager who has to send an agreement. We need to get an agreement signed. We need to send you our banking details to pay for the licenses. We need to place an order with Pipedrive for those licenses. So there's a few steps there we need to complete. And again, that used to be in my head. It was just something I remembered to do. But if you want to grow and scale your business, you've got to get it out of your head and into a system. So creating an automation that actually then assigns those activities to somebody on the team. And what I've even done in our account is I've put instructions in the notes. So when that activity goes to somebody, it says, this is how to submit the deal. This is what you actually need to do. So Charmaine, who's our general manager now, she knows what to do. But if we ever gave that task to somebody else in the future, or Charmaine, we replace Charmaine with somebody else, she's going to be with us for a while. But let's say somebody else is doing that task one day. Now they have the instructions right there in the task. They know what to do. So that's a really nice one we like to show people is building a simple automation to automate activities. You could take that a step further by then even having Pipedrive send an email. Like a good example would be when you win a deal, so they've paid or signed your agreement or whatever your win condition is, you could then automate an email that says, hi, Kyle, thank you so much for signing up. Here are the next steps. We're really excited to have you as a client. And you could automate that email to go out. So that's the native automation that's possible in Pipedrive. You can then also look even further and think, well, how could we integrate Pipedrive with other tools we use in our tech stack? So another tool that we use heavily is Calendly. So Calendly is how we schedule all of our introductory calls, our consulting calls. And so we've integrated that. So if you go to our website and you inquire on our website, you can book a call with one of our team. When that Calendly booking is made, we use Zapier to then create or even update an existing deal in Pipedrive. So that's sort of the natural progression, is work out how can we connect Pipedrive with other tools in our stack to just save more time, systemize our business so that we're not dropping the ball. Even inquiries from your website feed directly into Pipedrive, automate an email response so they go out quickly. Automation's a great next step once you've mastered the basics.
I love that. It's you've been with the Pipedrive system for, I forget what you said, 10 years or 10 plus years.
Yeah.
You've seen it change from kind of its infancy to the awesome, super elaborate tool it is now. Where do you think CRMs are going in the future? Do you have any ideas, any thoughts on where you see them headed?
Yeah. Gosh, great question. I mean, the thing right now is AI, right? And Pipedrive is already bringing a lot of AI features natively into the tool. So some things that I'm using now, which is I'm finding really helpful, is like you can get a summary of your deal, especially because now as a business owner or a sales manager, I can go into one of the deals that my team is working on and I can generate an AI summary and it can tell me, right, Kyle has, the last time Kyle followed up was 2 weeks ago. The prospect expressed a concern about this. We've never done a deal with this prospect before. And it just gives you a nice like TLDR, bit of a summary on how the deal is going. And it can actually give you a score, like this is a good or a hot opportunity, or this one's not sounding so good. So, I mean, that's the first thing that comes to mind, is just more and more AI coming into the tool that's going to help you either just quickly identify what are your good opportunities, which opportunities should you follow up with now. In Pipedrive, you've got AI that can help you draft your emails. Even it can help with things like reporting now. I think all CRMs are looking at AI at the moment, and how can we use AI strategically to support salespeople? Yeah.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. And those snapshots I was just showing a sales leader yesterday, the snapshots that they can see of their team, and they have a team of 8 spread over, 10 states. So getting in person and finding time to hop on the phone can be difficult at times across various time zones and whatnot. And he was just blown
Yeah.
away where he could just read that AI report and be like, oh, he followed up then. This is what they said. This is what they agreed the next step is. And it has a deal score of 82. He's like,
Yeah.
that's
And
incredible.
that's great, because where before you would have to then message the salesperson, and say, hey, how's this deal going? Like, when did you last follow up, and what are you working on? I mean, it's a waste of everyone's time. So, you want your sales team focusing on, instead of updating me, I want my sales team out there calling, following up, using their time more efficiently. So if AI can solve that problem and give me the summary so that I don't have to bother my team, then that's a win-win.
Absolutely. Paul, I appreciate you hopping on this podcast so much. I was so excited when you said you'd be willing to hop on, because I just know, the company you've created, amazing. I have a ton of respect for it and look up to you in a lot of ways. Plus, your experience for my listeners is fantastic. Where can people follow you, learn more from you? Give them the information.
Yeah, thank you so much. Best place to find us is on our website, minorco.com, minorco.com. You'll find us there. And take a look at our videos on YouTube. If you just start typing and searching for Pipedrive videos, our videos should pop up pretty quickly. You could search for us by name as well. But that's a great place to start if you're just exploring whether Pipedrive is going to be the right fit, or you want to get going. I've got hundreds of videos on YouTube now that explain how to get going with Pipedrive. I'm also on LinkedIn and X if you want to connect with me there.
Awesome, Paul. I appreciate you so much. Appreciate the work you do for the sales community. Everyone, happy selling, and sales leaders, get in the trenches and go sell with your team. Cheers.